Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here to talk about video games. Hey everyone, I thought I'd just make a quick collection update video for 2024. Last year in July, I made a video saying that I was wanting to sell a good portion of my collection and talking about some of the reasons why. This included making space, making money, and just a general preference for digital games, feeling that things on my shelf were no longer bringing me joy. I still love playing games, it's just the whole concept of physical games and collecting and game ownership in general aren't particularly interesting to me. I also made a video, I think back in September, going through my whole collection. Actually, I did this live on Twitch, and then I posted the video to YouTube, going over everything and what I wanted to sell and why and what I wanted to keep. I ended up coming up with 206 things to sell. This was mostly video games, but also included some guides and books and a few vinyl. So I did end up selling a number of things at the end of last year. I went to 2 different game swaps. There's going to be a lot of numbers in this video because I'm a big nerd and I have spreadsheets for everything I sold, what the sticker price was, what the actual sale price is, everything broken down by console or by category. So I went to the Barry Game Exchange in September, which is a great place to go if you want to buy or sell games. This takes place just about an hour north of Toronto here. I've been to it many times, usually as a buyer, a couple times as a seller. I got a table there, and Michelle came and helped me sell, which was very helpful, very nice of her. It was a long and very tiring day, but it was worth it, and I did sell a good number of things. Plus, we got pancakes beforehand, which is always my favorite part. All right, so at Barry, I ended up selling 49 different items. The list price or the sticker price of these items was $2,070. The actual sale price for everything was $1,875, so not too bad. I'm really not a haggler. I hate haggling, but if people are buying multiple things, I will definitely knock something off the price. Some people could be really obnoxious about it though, like buying 2 things and asking for 50% off both of them, which was annoying and hard to deal with. But for the most part, it was a really fun show, and I'm happy that I sold as much as I did. So NES was the big seller. It's also the system I had the most games to sell for. I sold 22 NES games. Some of them were fairly cheap, but also the biggest item of the day was Gun Knack on NES. I love Gun Knack. It's one of my favorite games, but it was not worth the money to have it sitting on my shelf for me. I was really happy that Gun Knack went to a good home. It's someone that I know, just offered me the price I had on it. It was a nice deal. I'm glad it's going to someone who will appreciate it. Something I was surprised by was that I sold 8 Xbox One games. I was under the impression that no one would really want any Xbox One games. It's not the most popular console. But I sold 8 of them, nothing too expensive, everything between $5 and $20, but I was surprised. Another thing that was very popular, all my Suikoden games. So I brought 1 to 4 to sell, and all of them sold at this show. Suikoden 1 and 2 went to someone else I know. Technically, it wasn't bought at the show, but he came over and bought them a few days later. Still counting this as a show sale, but I'm glad these also went to a good home. These are some of the bigger, costly items that I sold. Another big one was my TurboGrafx 16 Mini, which went for $200. I sold it to a store owner I know. I'm sure he's charging like $300 for it, but that's fine. And then I also sold Monkey Island on Sega CD, which I was happy about. The guy I sold it to seemed really into adventure games, so I was happy that he got it. He seemed pretty excited about it. I was kind of surprised that I only sold 2 Switch games. I had a good amount, somewhere between 15 and 20 Switch games I was selling. They are sort of higher price ones. Most of my Switch games are like limited printings of things. But yeah, only 2 Switch games, which kind of surprised me a little. But overall, it was a really good show to sell at, and I felt good about what I had sold at the end of the day. So then a few months later in December, I went to the Toronto Game Expo. This one is closer to home, just at the exhibition grounds down in Toronto. I was also a guest at this. There were guests at this show. I did a panel with some other YouTubers, Rerez and Adam Koralik. My friend Miles came with me to help me sell, which was awesome. I would not want to have a table and have to man it alone. Sales here were less than they were at Barrie. I ended up selling only 32 things. My table was at a kind of weird spot. It went with the guests, which was closer to the competition area and the free play machines, a little bit off to the side of the rest of the vendors. So I think a lot of people just didn't see that I was selling things there, which kind of sucked. But I did sell, let me bring this up. 32 things, sticker price of $13.34, and I ended up selling them for $11.50. Things at this show were much more spread out. Like, there wasn't one big sales console like NES at the last one. I sold 7 things on PS1, which was pretty nice, especially since a lot of the PS1 ones were more expensive. Discworld was a big one, Rhapsody, A Musical Adventure. Thousand Arms, I had a bigger sticker price, but the person who bought it bought a ton of stuff, so I was more willing to knock a bunch of money off. Again, 6 Xbox One games, which surprised me. Again, these are all cheap games, but I was surprised that people wanted them. Only 5 NES games this time. I was kind of expecting to sell more, but I guess they were more popular in Barrie, or maybe all of the ones people wanted to buy got sold at Barrie. And my biggest sale, I think, was my Mega SD, which is like the emulation cart where you can play Sega CD, Sega Genesis, and Sega Master System games. Dune on Sega CD was also kind of a big one. House in Fata Morgana, which is a visual novel that I honestly wasn't a big fan of. This show had me a little worried at first because for the first 4 hours or so, I had only sold around 20 things, maybe even less than 20 things. And then in the last hour, a couple people came and bought a lot of stuff each, which definitely made the day a little bit more worth it, because it wasn't looking to be worth it for the first little while, but I did manage to offload a bunch of stuff at the end. So overall at the shows, I brought 206 things for sale, and I sold 81 things, which is about 40% of what I had, which means I have 125 things left. They've just kind of been sitting on my shelf since December, kind of unsure of what to do with them. I haven't even alphabetized them, which is insane for me because I'm very concerned with things being alphabetized, but since they're things I don't consider part of my collection anymore, I've just kind of left them as is. So I still have a whole bunch of NES games left. Still have 25 NES games that didn't sell. A couple of the bigger ones that didn't go were Zen Intergalactic Ninja, which is one of the, it's not one of the super expensive ones like Dino Peak or something, but it is one of the more rare ones. It's also a pretty good game. I like it. Isolated Warrior, which is another game that's pretty good. I think I've got 75 on this, but no one was interested in that. And then Super Spy Hunter, which I actually think I might keep because it's a really good game. I think it's one of the best games on the system. And if no one else wants it, then maybe I'll just keep it with my very small collection that I decided I was going to keep for myself. PS1, not a whole lot left. I wasn't selling a lot of PS1 because that's sort of one of my favorite collections. The biggest one that I'm disappointed didn't sell was Psychic Detective. I've already played this. It's an FMV game. It's fine. It's nothing I feel like I need to play again. It is one of the more rare games on the PS1. Someone almost bought it, but the previous owner had put some Scotch tape on it just to seal it closed so the discs didn't fly everywhere, I assume. And that was apparently a deal breaker. So sadly, this didn't go to a better home than me. What else do we have here? PS2, a few things, nothing too big. The X-Files game, the second X-Files game was in here. I might just hang on to some of these that are cheaper that I had as a kid. 360, I'm actually pretty surprised that I sold almost no 360 games. I had, I think, 25 for sale, and I sold 2 over the course of 2 shows, which I thought 360 would go more than Xbox One, but what do I know? Again, nothing is a hugely valuable game here. We've got the Jurassic Park Telltale game, which is a little rare, and Raiden 4 Tornado Outbreak. But yeah, no one seemed interested in the 360 stuff. Still got a bunch of Xbox One games. Again, nothing particularly of note other than Deadpool, which was taken off stores because of licensing issues, but no one wanted that. Switch, I've still got a decent amount of, and they're all worth a decent amount of money. Of course, they're only worth it if someone's actually going to pay for it. The biggest one being Dust and Elysian Tale. This was one of the first limited run games. It's number 12. It's a sort of furry, beat-em-up, Metroidvania type game. I played through it. I like it. Just don't really feel the need to play it again. Most of the stuff is sort of limited printing things other than like Metroid Dread. And then I had a bunch of other stuff. Sewer Shark on Sega CD. Sewer Shark is one of the most common games on Sega CD because it was a pack-in, but because it was a pack-in, it didn't come with cardboard. So having it with actual cardboard is fairly rare. No one was as interested in that as I am. And then I've got Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth. I don't even have an Xbox original to play this on, and it is sadly not one of the ones that was made backwards compatible. And then just the other things I had, I didn't sell my Mass Effect vinyl, which is like a big, nice box set. I had 2 analog systems, which got very little attention. I'm not even sure if the Super Nintendo and the Genesis analog systems are currently for sale on the site. They usually sort of come and go out of stock. Yeah, and then manuals were not popular at all. I think I sold maybe 2 game manuals while I was there. So no one was really interested in those, and stores aren't generally interested in those either, I found. So the stuff that I haven't sold has just kind of been sitting on my shelf since then. I'm not really sure what to do with it. Since I've took it all to 2 shows and couldn't get any interest in the leftovers, I'm not sure it would be worth it to go to a 3rd, and it is a big, long day where I have to talk to people all day, and that is tiring. So I might take the higher value stuff and post it on Facebook Marketplace or something, which honestly also sounds like a lot of work and very annoying. And then maybe take the rest to Retro Game Bros or something where I know they'll give me some money, even though it's not as much as I could get other ways. It would at least be fast and easy for me. I have had tons of vet bills for poor little Lily lately. She's having some trouble with her little arthritic knees and hips, so should probably turn this collection into money sooner rather than later. It has been less than a year right now since I've sold most of this stuff. A lot of people, when I posted the first video about selling my collection, told me that I'd regret it. Like, oh, you're going to regret it. You're going to look back and want these games back one day. So far, 0 regrets. There hasn't been a single time when I've gone to look for something on the shelf and I've been disappointed it wasn't there, or that I've thought fondly of some piece of plastic that is no longer in my possession. So far, 0 regrets, other than the fact that more of the stuff I brought didn't sell, so I didn't have to still deal with it. But yeah, that's it. That is my collection update for 2024. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts on collecting are, if you're getting into it, if you're getting out of it, if you never really saw the point anyway. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more, check out one of my other videos here. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.